I'm Christian Farrell,
Hi, I'm Paula Casala.
and this week we're gonna talk about self-care.
You're very important.
How how do you do self-care, Paula? I just
That
wonder.
looks, that looks a little bit strange at first.
Doing my gua sha. I'm doing my gua sha. Don't you do your gua sha?
Oh God. At first I was like, what's going on here? And then I
I
realized,
know. I couldn't find my roller, so I just got my gua sha.
yeah,
Gua
I
sha.
probably should start doing that, but
Here's my here's
mm,
my lemon. Just
oh, your essential oils.
my essential oils.
I have my
It's this
common.
one. But this one is just lemon. So what the lemon does for me, obviously, is like it kind of gives me a little bit of energy. I like that you immediately feel energized. But anyway, so this week, this in this podcast episode, we're talking about self-care. What does
Yes, very
self-care
important.
look like for you, Paula?
Well, ooh, sorry, but essential oils. It smells good. Self-care. Well, self-care looks like different for everyone. Self-care, some people see it as more like I guess, selfish moments, which they kind of should be because you're taking care of yourself and no one else.
Correct. Yeah, I agree
You should have those
100%.
moments.
People see self-care as very woo-woo. Uh,
Well, self-care is it's important, for your mental health, for your physical health. Self-care could be taking time to talk to a therapist, which is very important. I think that, we don't talk about it enough.
We don't. And also, we want to note
And
that, while we share personal experiences and practices related to self-care, that we're not licensed professionals.
no,
Okay.
not yet.
So, not yet, not yet. Some of us are gonna be
I'll
there,
be
are gonna
I'll
be
be
there,
there soon.
be there soon. So she will be licensed she will be a licensed professional. However, we want to emphasize that for those that maybe are going through something really, stressful or something that's really affecting them, that maybe consider seeking professional care. I mean,
Yeah,
that is a
there's
big
nothing
part of
wrong with that.
self-care. But
There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
yeah, but we want to just kind of draw that emphasis is that, take this with a grain of salt. So, why is self-care important?
Well, there's, many reasons, but I think the main reason for self-care is your mental health. You need to take care of your mental health, and self-care does that, and your physical health, because those two tie together. Those to me is the main significance for self-care, your mental and your physical well-being.
Absolutely. I would say that also self-care, and if you're someone that's maybe already in a what we call a burnout, burnout stage, and you probably heard people refer to burnout specifically tied to work, being burnt out, that self-care is very important in a sense of caring for ourselves because it can help improve, your productivity. I mean, I know that burnout is being overly productive is probably why you're experiencing burnout, but also
Yeah.
realizing when self-care is important and taking time to take care of yourself can help improve your work, can help improve your focus. And also when you're not taking care of yourself, you probably find yourself at a point where you're not getting along with people or you're feeling agitated, like you're holding a lot of this stress. And so I think self-care does exactly that. It will help fix that. It will actually help improve your relationships with the people around you. Like you won't be feeling agitated or withdrawn, and it affects your partner or your friends or people around you.
Yeah, very true. I think that, just you need to recognize the need for self-care in those situations. But also, I think that even before you get to the stage where you're burnt out, you should just do self-care on a regular basis. It shouldn't be something, okay, now that I'm super stressed out, now that I'm having all these problems, now I should start doing self-care. Um, you should be just doing it on a regular basis.
I agree. It should be something that's sort of woven into our everyday routines. I mean, something as easy as, I mean, we do it with brushing teeth in the morning, right? And at night and whatever. Sort of weaving in these little practices into our daily rituals, but it doesn't always work out that way because we're, we have these schedules, and I think I'm going to use work as an example because I think it's one that most of us, whether it be school or work, it's something like this
Yeah.
structure schedule, right? So, not every day is going to look the same in terms of like your workflow, your workload rather, or your classwork. You're going to have deadlines. And then sometimes life throws you these curveballs along the way. And so here you are juggling all these things, or they feel like they're up in the air and they're and they're all coming down like a ton, weighing a ton. So it's easy to sort of enter this our bodies, right? They do these things like we enter fight or flight, or sometimes freeze mode. And part of that, it like I would say a lot of it is just because we've compounded all of this stress and haven't done anything for self-care to get us out of
Yeah.
there, to the point where sometimes it can feel like maybe not too late, but you're reached a point where you're just really stressed, completely stressed and overwhelmed. Have you experienced anything like burnout, and to the point where you immediately had to like start doing something to like what have you come across, or how have you dealt with those stressful moments, or a moment where you feel like you feeling it physically? How have you put self-care into practice to help you get back to your normal place, I guess?
Well, I experienced it in a way that I was physically sick.
Mm.
I was physically sick and I went to the doctor and, you know, tried to find out what was wrong with me. I'm like, I'm dying, something's wrong.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
she's like, no, you have stress and your stress became chronic and now it's coming out in a physical way. And if you continue like this, it could develop, health problems. Your cholesterol can go up. I mean, it comes out as anxiety, panic attacks, even depression. I mean, it could lead to so much. And I don't think we realize that. I don't think anybody really realizes that. Not that stress is completely bad, because we need some stress in our life, not so much in a chronic way that you're in survival mode. And that's where you're going to get to. And, you know, just I feel like if we did self-care on a regular basis, we wouldn't get to that extreme. So when I did go to the doctor, and she's like, you're getting to the extreme. That's why you're having these physical reactions now. That's why you're feeling this way. And you know what she sent me to do?
What?
She knew me well. She sent me to read a book about stress. This was, the book is a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's called the Syndrome by Roberta Lee. And she's like, read the book, understand stress and where it's coming from, and then you'll see that this is what you have, and this is, the steps to deal with it. And I did. And that was my wake-up call to stress. Also, being a psychology student, like that has helped too, because they teach you ways to handle stress and to identify it. And another thing, a recent book that I've read, that we've actually been reading together, that we haven't finished, but we're gonna get there, is the Burnout book. Yes, The Secret of Unlocking the Stress Cycle. This book is
Listen,
really this is, more
that book is
it's
real.
more actual, yeah, because the other one's a little bit older, but this one is newer, and it's pretty cool. I like how they wrote it and give
Yes.
videos and things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and also they have an abbreviated version of the thing. And also what I like about it, it's very approachable. Like it's not full of a lot of medical heaviness. Like they did a really good job sort of translating this for everyday people. You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
highly recommend it.
we've been reading this book, and we'll tell you guys all about it for those of you that don't like to.
Yes.
But for those who like to read, yeah, you should try to get your hands on that book.
What are
Yeah.
the things you always go for when you know life is starting to feel a little unbalanced?
Yeah. Well, first, like I think I've talked about it every single time, my happy playlist. I'll listen to music.
Yeah.
Music to me, yeah. So I'll listen to music, alone, dancing alone in the living room or in the room. Listening to music is a good self-care thing for
I'm
me.
telling you,
Reading, I love
man.
to read.
Mm-hmm.
Baking, I love to bake. So that like kind of puts me in a zone by
Sure.
myself of baking. And then maybe having a drink with a friend. So margarita night or a vinito
Hey.
night, but just
Nice.
hanging out and chatting. And that's also a good self-care. Yeah.
Absolutely. I say
Important ones
I'm
for me.
I'm right there with you with music because at any point, like lately, I don't know if I mentioned this before in a previous episode, but I've been listening to Mozart lately.
Ooh,
Mozart. I mean, 10 years ago, I mean, I have appreciation for classical music, sure, like the greats, but lately, like for if I want to do deep work and I want to put myself in like a good sort of just having that atmospheric, like that vibe, I put on good old Mozart and I'm there. Some music has this healing
mm,
ability, right? To kind of
definitely.
either put you up here or kind of bring you down, like chill you out a little bit. So I think whatever you're into or you want to go, it's like your pill. It's like your pill. You want a happy pill or you want a chill pill. You know, music tends to
Yeah.
do that. I love that. So yeah, I definitely am right there with you with music. One thing that I do, journaling, but it's like on a micro level. So I have wherever I'm at, anytime that I'm at my desk, I have, you know, a notebook, a notepad where I'm writing notes, etc. I literally start at each page will have a date, whatever the date is that, like say today,
Okay.
write my date, and immediately underneath there, today I feel, and I just put today I feel, and I'll do a happy face, or sometimes I'll write a sentence or two. Then that's it. Like I don't want to commit to writing a whole page or whatever, but enough to kind of dump my initial mood for that day and maybe my intention for the day or maybe an affirmation, whatever it is. It's like on a micro level, it's my journaling. Meditation, I can't say enough about it. It has helped with quieting the chaos a little bit before I start. And I tend to reach for the guided meditations because I'm not, you know, when you just give me the music to kind of like do my own thing, forget it. I think you had a situation like that where we,
Oh yeah.
yeah, meditation,
Meditating is it's very important.
it,
Meditation it really works, but it's hard to get
it's
into it.
hard. It's actually harder than it's harder. It's people say, oh, you're just sitting there quiet and stuff. But and before you know it, I'm thinking about like, oh yeah, my to-do list. So what do I have to do tomorrow? Or what am I wearing today?
Yeah.
And but the guided helps me because I'm paying attention to the
Yes.
instructor or the person
I
in the
can't agree with you
affirmations.
more because I can't by myself, oh, I'll just
Start thinking about last
not work.
week and
But the guided ones, I find that I can follow a lot better. So if you're just getting into meditation now and or you've tried and you're like, this is not for me,
yeah.
do the guided
Do the
ones.
guided ones. Listen, the guided ones, they work, okay? They work.
Yeah.
I love things, and you said cooking, you said baking. I like cooking. I think I'm a better cook than I am a baker. I know you're a fantastic baker, but I've gotten into coloring books.
Oh, yes. Art. Well, you know how I feel about art.
I love it. I sit there, and you know how we do things. We don't just do like, oh, I just need one coloring book. I actually went out and bought like five different types of coloring books with like all different types of art. I have crayons, I have art pencils. I have like now because I have grown-up money, I can go and buy all the art supplies that I want. So you should see me
Grown
assemble
up.
all of my stuff, my markers, my crayons, my pencils, and I just spread it out and then I have my color and then like, oh, which coloring book do I feel like doing today? So yeah, I've gotten into that as an adult. Go figure. It's great.
Well, one thing I didn't mention was, my because art, I do art, I teach art, but crafting for me, like, is also self-care because I'll just get into a zone and, I'm creating something. I loved crafting and all different types of crafting, like, you know, making t-shirts.
Making hey, you should see this girl make some killer t-shirts because you kind of get the ideas and then you use your Cricut, right? Or is it the
Yeah.
Cricut? Yeah,
Shadow
she's like,
boxes. I love doing shadow boxes.
okay, I
Um,
didn't even know that.
I gotta show you. I have one back
I
there.
would love to. I
Yeah.
would love
I have
to.
my shadow box back there. It's
Oh, cool.
did Fashion Week in Milan. So I have my whole thing with the little bands and pictures of the models and stuff like that. My behind the, VIP pass, everything back there.
So it's sort of like it's a little time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh.
actually love that. That's an
Like
excellent
I like
idea.
to, I have a sewing machine,
Yeah.
so I make
I
stuff,
have a sewing machine too. It's a Virgo thing.
pillowcases and but I think, it's a Virgo thing to like to create, make
We
stuff. So,
are.
yeah.
We are. Yeah. Where my Virgo's at. Whoop whoop. Oh, that's awesome. So we talked about self-care practices and how the importance of self-care, but and I'll share a personal story if that's okay, because I feel like I got to experience firsthand when you ignore stress, what it can do to your body, what it can do to your mind. They both work together like this. More than 2 years ago, I started experiencing like job burnout. I had just 1 year before that, I had just lost my dad. So I know it was just stressful anyway. And we were still getting out of the COVID thing, that weirdness, in just everything. Like it caught up. It just literally one day you will wake up feeling like the heaviness on your chest or your stomach, but it starts manifesting in your body. And then you're wondering, why do I feel so awful right now? Why does my body feel this way? Or why am I feeling so, my thoughts feel so all out of control? And by that meaning, like, you feel like you have to do 12 different things at the same time and don't know where to start. Sort of like that, again, that freeze, or your executive function just sort of just shuts and you're just sitting there paralyzed. So that I couldn't ignore that anymore. And I just went and I found someone locally, a therapist, and I worked with them for over a year. And the thing about stress, if you're someone that already maybe has some trauma or things that have happened, and you just put it in a compartment in your mind, it comes up. It kind of has a tendency of doing that, where suddenly you're feeling trauma is surfacing and you're like, why am I thinking about this person? Or am I thinking about this experience that I had when I was a kid? Or am I thinking about this experience I had as an adult? Like suddenly the icky stuff starts coming up. So I knew immediately therapy did an amazing job with that. And a year and a half later, and still, she was someone that helped me realize that, because you start feeling like it's like something's wrong with you. You start feeling like maybe, those limiting self-beliefs, you start feeling negative about it. And then she gave me some amazing tools that I try to incorporate regularly in my everyday life, because I feel like one of the things immediately that I do is connect with my body, and I try to see, how does my body feel today? How does my heart, well, I say, how are you feeling today, heart? How's my heart feel today? And then I'm like, same thing. How am I feeling here today? Do they match? Is there something a little bit off? So I tend to pay closer attention to those cues. And if I feel like I need to make little adjustments, maybe I need to add more outdoor time. Maybe I need to, how's my water? I'm not drinking enough water. All of those things. I become more in tune with my body, and I do these daily sort of self checks to see how I'm feeling. And that includes like deep breathing. I do deep breathing when I'm feeling maybe slightly off. That I feel like that brings me back to my happy place. Meditation, talked about, guided meditation. I can't do anything more than 10 minutes. I notice. So I keep a very 10 minutes is my short window, and I feel like that's just the perfect amount. And affirmations. I say them out loud, and I just walk around the room as I'm getting ready. I do my affirmations, and certainly getting in touch with nature. I think that's so important. We take that for granted. I would literally go outside and I didn't even bring my phone outside. I'll stand out there and just really kind of set my gaze on nature, the birds, the grass, the flowers.
Self checks. And, you said about something simple as drinking more water. That's a self-care thing that a lot of us forget sometimes. Drinking more water it's important because um drinking water just in general is important for all of us. And sometimes you're just dehydrated and need to drink some water to
Yes.
feel better,
Yes.
you know? And then
Listen,
the breathing that, I didn't mention earlier, breathing is super important. If you find a good breathing exercise that works for you, and, breathing exercises they really do work. Um, but yeah, check in with yourself and be like, okay, how am I feeling? How is this making me feel? We talked about in the last podcast, keeping the negativity out. And, we forget that's self-care too, because you're setting boundaries, which is self-care.
hmm
Um, you set boundaries. You don't want that negativity. You want to feel good. And getting rid of the negative is a way of self-care.
true. One big takeaway, if I can impart any knowledge, onto anyone, is like create your own self-care plan. And I mean, it doesn't have to cost anything. And you can make it as simple or as lavish as you want. I mean, self-care is not a one size fits all for everyone. But find like kind of like something you said earlier, Paula, it's like you gotta try it, and part of it is sort of trial and error, see what works, see what doesn't work. Maybe you tweak it your own way to make it like that. Just because someone suggested to do a thing doesn't mean that that
It's going to
entire
work for you.
thing. Yeah, yeah. So one of the things, again, I had a I had a tough time with initially was meditation, and I felt weird just sort of sitting there like quiet and trying to empty my mind when I had so many things stressing me out at the time. But I
Mm.
found guided meditation worked for me. So similar to what I mentioned earlier. So, and that's something you can do at no cost. You can go on YouTube and
Yep.
you can find them in different increments of time. Like there's some they just do 5 minutes, some they do 10, some they do it even up to 60 minutes. So for me, again, the 10-minute is my sweet spot. One thing that you mentioned was reading books.
Reading. I love to read. So, um, I have, I rather read an actual book, but I also have my Kindle, and
Mm,
so I can take many books with me whenever I travel. But reading could be, you could pay for the books. There's, you can, the library still exists. I know some of you don't realize that, but you can get your library card online, and you could actually uh, check out a book online too. You don't have to
yeah.
physically go to the library, which they're still out there. So that's at zero cost. There's also something that I have. Okay, it's called BookBub. So it's book, BOOK, Bub, BUB.
hmm
And if you subscribe on there, sometimes there's books for free that you can check out. And sometimes they're like, you know, $2, $3, $5, and obviously
Right.
more. But sometimes they go, they're specials, and sometimes they're like 99 cents or they're free. If it's a continued novel, the first one will be free and things like that. But it doesn't have to cost anything to read a book. And
That's
some
true.
people like reading, some people don't. Reading is not just about learning something new, because you could read to learn something new, or you could you could read to escape for a little bit, which is
I
the
like that
self-care
one.
part.
Yeah.
You don't have to read a book about the stress cycle that we're reading. Even though this book is it's entertaining because you're reading stories too.
hmm
You're learning something new about yourself as well as you're going through the book. So that's good that to read self-help books, but self-care is also to read something that you like.
That's right. Yeah.
I like, reading about vampires. So
Oh my gosh.
sometimes I'll do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. A nice
so like,
juicy summer book, you know. I like yeah, I like a little bit of both. I definitely have a nice collection of I guess they would be categorized under self-help, but it's more like self-development. I like to call it self-development, not self-help.
yeah.
But I'll have a nice collection of those books. But I also have a nice collection, I call it of my smut. I'm just gonna say it, my smut.
Okay.
My juicy, juicy. I mean, okay. Let me just say this. I don't all is not all just all smut, but I have a nice variety of like fiction that's well balanced, and and then I call my beach reads, right? The ones that again
Mhm.
have a little
Yeah.
a little spice in there. Um, and here's one: go outside, man. Go outside, get some fresh air.
Go
That,
for a
listen,
walk. Yeah.
it's so easy, and I am someone in my current position, I work from home, and you would think, hey, that's great, right? I work from home, and there's a lot that I love about it. But it's so much easier to just kind of stay in your little cocoon, your little work from home cocoon, and I don't even go outside. There was a time that I didn't remember when was the last time I went outside when I was working from home, and that was bad. So going outside, like that's a daily practice. Even if you're just going outside to take in the air, get some sun,
Yeah.
get some fresh air, that it gives you a boost, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever gone on a hot girl walk?
I'm not going to pretend to know what that is.
I love it. Listen, my younger counterparts at work, and she might be listening, and she does shout out to her because she's an amazing girl. But she always in she's a young millennial, and she would use
Mhm.
the term, I went out for a hot girl walk, either with her friends or her dog or whatever. And I just always found that so delightful. I'm like, I love that. I think I even asked her, what's that? Can you tell me more about it? That's why I felt
Oh, now
like
you
such
gotta
a
explain. You gotta
such an old
explain.
lady, right? But I was so delighted, and I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Like it's a form of self-care to just go out
Mm.
for a hot girl walk, go out and you and your friends, and you just go maybe have a conversation. Just go out. And what you're doing is essentially doing the same thing, going out to get fresh air.
Are
But
you walking in heels in this hot girl walk? I'm not understanding.
I'm gonna ask her, hey, no heels right now. I think it's what it is. You go out there, you can put on whatever. You're just going
Just
out
that
for a
makes
walk.
you
It's
feel
not
good.
meant to be like you're gonna go run a marathon. It's not that
Okay.
serious. You're just putting on comfortable shoes and
Okay.
whatever, and you're going out for your hot girl walk. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. So they're going down the list, listening to
Every day
music.
here.
This is all you, girl. Listening to music.
Zero cost, guys, listening to music. I mean, I have like I have Pandora, I have Spotify, I have Apple Music, I have, YouTube. Come on, all for free.
All for free. And if you're someone that prefers to this still has
Oh, the radio. I
CDs,
forgot
the
about.
radios, CDs, that sort of thing. That's music too, get in there,
Oh,
dust it up. Do you still have CDs, Paula?
okay. So remember that I said that I was gonna start, you know,
Was it part of your
that
cleaning, like
yeah,
your
that's part of
spring?
my
Oh,
cleaning. I did a
wow. Yeah.
few. I did a few. I bought the little burning thing, and I started.
Okay. How's that going though?
Get me.
Has maybe.
I did like I think four, and then I
Hey,
stopped.
that's for
But
maybe that's a winter activity. Maybe that's an activity
I
in
will
your
continue doing it because I have way too many CDs.
Oh
Like
man.
just it's probably not that normal. And I need to
I
I need
love
to
it. That's awesome though.
need to get rid of them. But you know what? The problem that I also got into when I started that maybe somebody can give me some ideas. When I started burning these CDs is that the covers.
Ooh.
No, it's some of them have all the lyrics inside and just the actual covers of it, the artwork and stuff. Like, I don't want to get rid of
I
that.
know.
I'm just
I love
gonna
it.
have to do
Hmm.
like a picture book
Yeah.
with the artwork.
I'm
The
sure you'll
covers are
figure
on the
something
CD.
out. I'm sure you'll figure something out. And
I
friends, just
mean,
so you know, we're gonna be putting up a Paula and a Chris happy playlist, our individual playlist, so you can, jam out with us, have a good
I
time.
mean, I I think you and with the music thing is we're probably the same thing. I have like super different.
Yep, yeah. I always said that my
I
music
listen
taste is
to
on shuffle
everything.
mode. It's on shuffle mode. My
Yeah.
music taste is like everything
Yeah,
from
I'm all over the place. And
uh
it's so it doesn't have to be the same for you guys. You have to find what makes you happy, your
that's
happy
right.
playlist.
Curate your happy
Um,
playlist. You can do
yeah,
that.
but so you can, more or less get an idea of what our happy playlist looks like.
So another one that's kind of it's low cost, but I feel like there's still cost involved. It's cooking, something like cooking. Um,
Oh, but everybody's got to eat.
everybody's
So
got to eat.
we'll rather bake than cook. And well, I like to do both, but baking is my,
Baking is your thing. What do you like to bake? What's your favorite thing to bake?
well, my alfajores are like one of my favorite things to
Ooh.
bake because everybody likes them. But oh God, I come from a family that loves to cook.
Mm.
And I have a lot of Argentinian and Italian desserts that
Oh,
I just
yum.
love to bake. And
Um,
it's bad. And it's a thing. And I've talked to my cousins about this too. It's like, it's in, I feel like it's already in our blood that we just like to feed people.
yeah. Oh, that's a form of love.
So
That's a
baking and
form of
cooking
love.
is so important to us in our self-care because we just love to feed people and it's in, it's in the
like
blood,
like
definitely.
cooking is not just an act of love, but it's also community, right? Like
Yeah.
you can invite two or three friends and you'll whip up something really quick, and that's community. Like it's love. I love that. Oh, I'm gonna have to cook something this weekend
After we take
or bake something.
the podcast. Yeah.
And so I did try to do yoga. Yoga wasn't necessarily like something I could stick to. I feel like very similar to just doing regular meditation. I found it though that doing stretching, like intentionally stretching or mobility classes,
Yeah.
which is kind of an extension of yoga, are really great. And but for those, you're talking about, maybe you can find it on YouTube for free, or you
Yeah.
can find a class around, in your city and go try it out to see if it's even something you like.
Yoga
Yeah,
or any type of exercise class.
sure.
There's definitely free classes out there. I have a friend that does, it's called the Vixen workout.
Nice.
And those are,
I love it.
it's all women and,
Yeah.
you just to dance and be sexy it's, you're getting in your cardio,
Yeah.
you're moving, and it makes you feel really good. And some
Ooh.
of these classes, yeah, you have to pay for, but there are free classes. I think, I'm not sure if it's once a month but if you look online, then you can definitely find free classes.
You just made me think about that. You mentioned a library where you can clearly get books, but libraries, your local library can have classes too. So depending on really, like I know in here in Wilmington, Delaware, libraries have all types of, it's much more than just books. They have community events happening in libraries, but if you want to get a class, check out your local library as well. They may
We
have
just,
something you
I
want
think
to
that
try
we've forgotten that we have so many of these things because the YMCA is still out there
out.
and like there's still things that we've forgotten that we have that we just need to look for around where we live. But
I think sometimes we get caught up on the latest fad. People want to try the
yeah,
latest fad versus like go and see what's already in your community that's immediately accessible to you, right? And that goes without saying, obviously, in therapy
yeah,
sessions. I mean,
yeah, very
I
important. I
I
know
can
that.
attest to them. They are the most worthiest investment because that's the investment I made for myself, and you can make for yourself if you feel like you're someone that can use a professional
Yeah, and now there's
Help you
different
out.
ways of getting therapy. I'm going to tell you right now, if you tried it and didn't work out for you, you were talking to the wrong person.
Absolutely,
Not
100%.
not every
Hmm.
therapist is the same. And there's a difference. You have your psychologist and you have your counselors, and you just have to see which which one is best for you and try different ones out. Not You're not gonna vibe with
Right.
everything, you know?
I know that there's someone out there for everyone to connect with on that level.
Yeah. And that's why I said the whole vibe thing, because you need somebody to vibe with, because you need somebody that you're going to be able to trust, because you're going to be in a, vulnerable state, and you have to be able to feel safe with this person when you talk to them. And it doesn't have to be in person too. Another thing with therapy, like now
Mm,
there's
hmm.
therapies that you can do online, or on
Yeah.
your phone. There's just so many ways. They're making it so accessible now, which is great, but it's a great self-care.
Yeah.
And it's not like some people are like, oh, but I'm not crazy. I'm not depressed. It has nothing to do with
It
that.
has nothing to do with that. Society still struggles with the stigma of that, going to a therapist means that there's something wrong with you. Maybe the things that you're feeling and experiences seem different than normal for you, like the stress and how it feels on your body. So that's the ripple effect of stress that's been just stacked over and
Yeah.
over and over. What a therapist will do is help. Sometimes it's just someone to talk to that isn't your family.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's someone to talk to that's just unbiased and is just going to sometimes we just need to be heard, right? Sometimes it comes down to that. And then if you have a good therapist, they will give you tools to help you immediately. Like, again, if you're triggered with stress or something's going on and you start feeling it on your chest or your shoulders or your stomach, they will give you some tools that you can immediately implement. Gosh, a good therapist you will always feel like you're walking away with something after you've had your conversation with them that you can apply and be ready for the world.
Everything that we've been talking about, or that we continue to talk about, you guys can find it on the website, on the blogs. So if you have questions about self-care, or having setbacks and setting goals and all that, everything that we talk about, all this broken down in the blog post or in Instagram, and the little snippets that we have,
That's
but
right.
they're all there.
And
Yeah.
if you want to email us directly, you can do so at rebelizechange@gmail.com. And that's REBELIZE change at gmail.com. And you guys can send us a message directly. And just if there's topics that you want us to cover, we're here for you.
So let's do self-care, guys. Come on.
Self
What's your
care, baby.
self-care look like today? Every day should be self.